Okay, so this is the Prismacolor demo part 2, and we're going to keep on practicing how to blend with the Prismacolors, and now we're going to be working on the other circle, which is unique harmony. And this is a made-up term to help explain this type of harmony. For this circle, we're going to be using colors that are right across from each other from the color wheel, and this is also known as complementary colors. So, for example, yellow and purple, or you could use blue and orange. And I want you guys to notice that on the color harmony circle, the one on the left, the colors blend together very nicely because these are colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, versus the unique harmony one, the one on the right, which you guys will see in a second, you'll be getting more brown colors in between mixing. Okay, as I start the demo, the first complementary colors that you guys are going to see me use is red and green. And it is also very important to have your colorless blending pencils out too. You're going to be using this a lot in this circle. As I start, I want you guys to know that you'll be using the same method as the first circle. So in my eyes, the red is the lighter color, so I'm going to use this one first. And remember that at the end of the shape is where you're going to add pressure, so it's darker. But as you move towards the next color, you're going to want to go lighter with the pressure, so it can blend properly. And again, I really want to emphasize how light you should be making the color when working on the circle, because you're going to need to go back and forth between the two colors. And you also want to be able to make many layers. Okay, now we're working with the green. Remember how we have to make it dark at first, but then as we move forward, we gotta keep it light. During this part of the demo is where we start to see the blend of the two colors together. This is a good spot to blend the colors together with a colorless blending pencil. And a big tip that I have for you guys is that it's very important to not overdo it with the blending pencil, because the wax builds up and then that part of the piece becomes really hard to work with. Notice that I scribbled on the side of the paper with the blending pencil. And I do this because it's annoying when you get the other colors on the part of the shape that you're working on. Blending the transition part is the area that most students always get frustrated with, because sometimes it feels like the two colors don't want to blend, or it just doesn't feel smooth, but this is where it's the most important to go really light. And if you notice, I also go back and forth between the two colors a lot. And eventually you'll get that amazing brown looking color in the middle, and that's just what happens whenever you blend opposite colors together. So I know some of you guys are going to be thinking, what's the point of using opposite colors? And this is a good question, because to humans, opposite colors have always been eye-catching. Like a rose, for example, they pop out to us because of the green and the red. Another reason why we use the opposite colors is that instead of using black, we can use this complementary color to darken a color. It gives it a more natural look because shadows often have other colors. Like for example, if you were to do a leaf, I would recommend to add some reds in there very lightly instead of using like a black or a dark green, because if you were to add the reds in there, it makes it look more natural and realistic. Also notice how I go over the opposite color extremely lightly, and I do this so then it becomes a very smooth transition between the two colors. So now the random pair of opposite colors that I chose to do is purple and yellow. And again, remember guys to push those darks in at first whenever you start a new shape, but then as you move forward into the next color, to go really light. Something that I've noticed when working with past students is that they seem to have struggled with the yellow and the purple opposite colors. And I think it's a struggle to them because of how dark the purple is compared to the yellow. So whenever you start doing the middle transition color that you see right now, just remember to go light. It takes a while to make that purple blend smooth. And my tip when using these opposite colors is to be gentle with the purple. I would go really light the whole time if that helps the process. But also take your time with the blending. Another tip that I have when working with purple and yellow, or even working with the Prismacolors in general, I recommend tapping your paper on the side of the table when you notice waxes on your paper. You do not want to swipe it off with your hand because you're pressing down the pigment into the paper, and it's really hard to erase when using dark colors. Now, another thing that you can do is put the opposite colors in their own shape, but they have to be right next to each other. Another thing though, so if you plan to do this, you still have to blend colors. So what I mean by this is that, as you can see from my sample, if you look at the blue, I'm still using a darker and lighter version of that color. So you would still have to do the same. You're still practicing how to blend, but you have those opposite colors next to each other. Also notice how different this blue looks after using the blending pencil. It makes it look more smooth, almost like a painting.